I put out a poll in my Facebook group to see if anyone had interest in learning how to create this exact tutorial. And I got an overwhelming response of yes, please. So this is that tutorial. Hello everyone and welcome to Crafting with Delonda. It's me again, Delonda, and thank you so much for joining me today. In today's tutorial, I am going to demonstrate how to create a template that looks just like this. Now, I am going to demonstrate the process. I'm not going to demonstrate how to press it and how to layer or any of that. I do have a tutorial on how to press this and which order to press it in and all of that. I'll make sure it's linked below this video. This tutorial, we're going to be in the software in Silhouette Studio, the business edition. I'm going to take you step by step on how to create this template or a similar template if you want to follow this process. At the end of this video, if you find it helpful, please remember to like the video, subscribe to my channel, and turn on the bell for notifications because I do upload new content every single week. Now, without further ado, let me tell you about the materials you will need, and then we will go right into the software. This is going to be the last time you see this face today. All right, let's look at the materials and then we'll dive right in. Now, before we even go over to the computer, let me say there are four main things you will need to have. Number one, you need to have Silhouette Studio, the business edition. If you currently have the free version of Silhouette Studio, that's not going to be good enough. If you upgrade to the designer edition, that's still not enough because you won't be able to save your file as an SVG. And if you don't have a Silhouette cutter, you're going to need that. Okay, so you need the business edition of Silhouette Studio. I have a link for it below. You're going to need two fonts. You don't have to use these two fonts, but these are the fonts that I'm using. One is called Alifba, and the other one is called BFC Football Bold. I'll make sure both of those are linked below. And you'll need your craft journal. I say you need your craft journal because I keep a craft journal. Before I made this tutorial, I made a craft journal of my process for how I wanted to teach this because I wanted it to be as easy as possible for you. And then number four, you're going to need to have some patience with yourself. Okay, so you might get frustrated. There are a lot of steps in this process. So you're going to need to have patience with yourself. If you feel yourself getting frustrated, it's okay to take a break and come back to it. All right, so hopefully you have all of these things and you're ready to go on to the computer so that we can go through the process of creating the template that I just showed you. Let's get started. Studio, the business edition. And by the time we finish this tutorial, you should have something that looks similar to this. Might not be the same size or these same colors, but by the end, you should have four layers. One layer that's an outline of rhinestones, a thin layer, a big, bold inside layer, and then the word vibes in script font. Let's start from scratch. I'm just going to click this plus and open a new page. Now, if you are using Silhouette Studio Business Edition and you recently upgraded your Silhouette Studio, yours might not look like this. If it doesn't, click on the option for help and go to View In and make sure you have the Business Edition. If you don't have the business edition, I highly recommend you to upgrade. I do have a link below this video because otherwise what I'm going to show you will not be helpful in any of these other editions. Okay, so now we look over here on the right, you'll see that the page setup panel is already there. I'll close this out and then open it back up so we can really start from scratch. Over here on the right, this first icon is for the page setup panel. In addition to the page setup panel, we are going to be using the offset panel. This is the star within the star. We're going to use the modify panel. We're going to use the fill panel for colors. We're going to use this line panel to remove the outlines. And we're also going to use the rhinestone panel. The panel we will refer to the most is probably the offset panel. Let's get started. The first thing I'll do is come over here to the left and click on the A. I'm going to make sure my caps lock is turned on, and I'm going to type the word fall. And while I'm making this, if you don't plan to use these two words, fall vibes, and you want to use something different, just envision your two words while I'm making this. Or you can work along with me and use your words instead of these. Okay, so I have the word. I'm going to go to that fill option over here on the right. It's the one that looks like a paint palette. I'm going to click there and fill in the word with black. I'm also going to go up here to the top and choose my text. The font that I'm using is one that's called BFC Football Bold. I'm going to right click and duplicate this and just move one over. You will see me duplicate several different pieces as we go along, just in case I get stuck or I go too far, so I don't have to start all the way from scratch. The next thing I'm going to do is come over here to the text style panel, and I'm going to kind of increase the spacing between the letters. I'm increasing mine to 110.0. I can close this out now. I'm going to right click and ungroup this, and I'm also going to just resize this and kind of make it a little bit wider, like this, like this. Now, the sizing will, of course, be a matter of personal preference, so pay attention to your sizing. I want to bring this down because I am going to be adding several offsets. All right, and I think this is a fair size. Now I will right click and click on group. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is right click and duplicate this again. Okay. The difference between these two is that this still has my original font, the BFC Bold, and this one, since I ungrouped it, it doesn't have the font name anymore. So I like to make a duplicate of the original and then make a duplicate of the first change. That's typically what I do. The next thing I'm going to do is come over here and add an offset. And my first offset is going to be fairly thin. I want it to be like right at 0.080. And I'm going to click apply. And I'm going to go to that fill and fill it in with red. And with the offset still selected, I'll right click and group it. So now I have two layers. Now you can see the size of my file is 10.242 in width. Pay attention to that, especially if you are making a rhinestone template. You don't want the template to be too big, okay? So the next thing I'm going to do is add another offset. I'm going to go back to offset. This time my offset is going to be a little bit bigger. I'm going to make the size of it, let's do 0.100, and I'll click apply, and I want to right click and group it, and I also want to fill in the color. I'm going to make the color green. Now I am paying attention to how close the letters are together. Now I'm looking at, and I can see this F is kind of far away from the A, and these L's are kind of close together. So what I'm going to do, let me show you. I'm going to come up here to the top menu. I'm going to select panels, and I'm going to bring in a different panel, one that's called select by color. I'm going to drag it over here to the left corner of my screen, and I'm going to select this option by fill. Now you can see that I have three different fill options on my media. I have a green layer, I have a red layer, and I also have a black layer. What I'm going to do with this is select it all, right click and duplicate and move a set over here. Now, what I want to do is select everything, all of my layers, and I'm going to right click and ungroup them. And I'm going to start to kind of move them out a little bit. So the F is already far enough over to the left, I'll select all 3 layers of my letter A and move it over just a little bit. I'm using the left arrow key on my keyboard. Okay, and I'm going to select all 3 of these L's and move those over just a little. And that looks pretty good to me. Okay, so now I'll select the green layer. I'll right click and I'll group it back together. I'll select the red layer, right click, group, and the black layer, right click, group. Now, let me kind of zoom in because I want you to understand why I even have this red layer. Before the end of this tutorial, I'm going to delete this red layer because I really don't need it. I only want it there as a thin layer to separate the black layer from the green layer. But I'm not going to delete it just yet because I don't want that green layer to be hollow yet. Okay, so just make sure you understand why the red layer is there. It's really just there as a placeholder. Okay, so now what I want to do is come over here and grab a letter A so I can start with my next set of text. I'm going to turn the caps lock off, type in the word vibes. Okay, I'm going to make this bigger. And I'm going to go back and fill it in. I'll fill it in with yellow, and I'm changing the font to that one that's called Alifba. It is linked below the video. Now I'm going to zoom in because I want you to see something. You can see that if I were to cut this text would have cut lines in it, and I don't want that. So with this text selected, I'm going to right click and go to weld. Now you can see it doesn't have those lines. And what I want to do now is group it. Okay. All right. So now let's zoom back out. And now I can decide where I want this on top of the word fall. I can make this taller. I can make it wider. I can decide if I want it to be centered on the word fall. I can decide if I even don't want it to touch the word fall at all. If I want it to kind of just cut through, I can make a lot of decisions about how I want this. And of course, this is something that would be a matter of personal preference. Now, let me make this bigger so we can kind of really see what's going on. Okay. Let's make it a little bit wider. Like this. I kind of want it like right here. I think that's fair. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is add an offset to the word vibes. So I'm going to go back over here to offset. I'm going to click on offset. I want the offset to be a little bit bigger. Let's make it 115.115. I'm going to click apply. And I'm going to right click, I'm going to group that, and I'm going to fill in the color. Let's fill it in with blue. Okay, let's move the yellow layer out, just out of the way for right now. Now, it's important that you really understand what's getting ready to happen right here. This blue layer is kind of like a placeholder to remove everything that I don't need in the word fall. If you are familiar with Cricut Design Space, this is kind of like slicing out of the text. So I'm going to select that blue layer, the word vibes. I'm going to hold my shift key, and then I'm going to select the black layer. So I'm holding the shift key. I'm going to select the black layer. I have 2 layers selected. With those 2 layers selected, I'm going to come over here to the modify panel, and I'm going to select subtract all. Now, without moving anything, I'm just going to click out. So now I don't have anything selected. I'm going to select that blue layer again. This time I'm selecting the red layer. Okay, and I'm going to subtract all. Clicking out. This time I'm going to select the blue layer, and I'm going to select you guessed it, the green layer. Each time I'm selecting 2 layers, I'm going to hold my shift key along with it. Going to subtract all. Now, when I move this blue layer out of the way, what you should notice is that there's nothing behind the blue layer. Let's move it. See that? And this makes a space for me to put this word here so it fits in and it's not touching anything. So if I didn't even want to continue with the rhinestone portion, I could do it and I would almost be finished with this tutorial. Okay. Now this blue layer, I really don't need it, but I'm not going to delete it just yet, just in case I make a mistake and I need to back up a little bit. Okay, so let's continue. Now, what I want to do and what I did do in my first tutorial that I didn't demonstrate is that I added an outline of rhinestones around the outer layer. And so I'm still going to do that now. So my outer layer is the green layer. I'm going to select the green layer and I'm going to click on, you guessed it, offset. And I'm going to add an offset and I'm going to make sure that my offset is not really touching anywhere. So I can see that these L's are kind of overlapping. I think that's okay. That doesn't bother me at all. But what I'm going to do is go ahead and click apply, and I'm going to right click and group it, and I'm going to change the color to purple. Okay, so I have a thick purple offset. Now, what I'm going to do with the purple layer selected is change the purple layer into rhinestones. So in order to do that, I'm going to bring in the rhinestone panel. I'm going to click over here. It's the little icon that reminds me of a volleyball. I'll click that icon. I'll bring my rhinestone panel over here. With the rhinestone panel, I'm going to change the spacing to 0.015. Okay, and I still have my purple layer selected. I have it on 10SS, the size is 10, the spacing is 0.015. With the purple layer still selected, I am going to select the outline option right here. And I can see what my rhinestone layer will look like. And to me, it looks really, really nice. However, if we're really paying attention, you can see that my yellow layer is on top of those rhinestones. And even if I were to put the rhinestone layer on top, that would still pose a problem. So let me show you what I would need to do. With the rhinestone layer selected, let's look at it, right? What I'm going to do is look and pay attention to how many rhinestones this would require. I can look and see that it says 466. I'm going to right click and bring that layer to the front. Once I do that, I'm going to select all of this. And guess what? I'm going to right click and I'm going to duplicate this just in case I make too many mistakes. I'll still have another layer that I can rely on. Okay. With the purple layer, what I'm going to do now is click this option right here to release the rhinestones. Let me zoom in a little bit so you can see what happens when I click that. When I click the option to release the rhinestones, you will see a collection of boxes. You'll see a box around each individual rhinestone. Okay, so let's do that. Now you can see what I'm going to do is delete every rhinestone that is on top of a layer of yellow. If it's not on top of a layer of yellow, it can stay. Okay, so let's do that. Let's get in close so we can really see what's happening. And I'm just going to click on each one and delete. Now, the fastest way to do this is to hold the shift key and just click, delete, and just continue to select them so you can delete a collection at one time instead of just doing one like that. Okay, I can delete those. I can delete this one. Let's just move it over. That's fine. Okay, let's move these. Let's just delete these. And let's delete these. Let's delete these. All right, let's delete these. Let's delete these. Delete these. Now, if you are an experienced template creator, you probably have a way of moving the rhinestones so that you don't have to delete all of these. Maybe just move them inside. However, I don't want to take a chance at that. And I am definitely still a baby beginner when it comes to this software. There are a lot of things that I don't know. I am just showing what I do know. Okay, so let's kind of zoom out, see if there's anything else that needs to be fixed or addressed or moved. I think everything else looks really good. I think everything else looks great, to be honest. Now, if I were concerned about the eye right here, what I could do is click on that yellow layer, right click, and go to ungroup and just move the eye down just a little bit. I'm just using the arrow key on my keyboard. Okay, so now I can once again select that yellow layer and then group it back together. Now let's look at our template and see how it looks. Okay, I think this looks really nice. Let's zoom in one more time and get another look at that. Okay, I thought I was worried about something over here. Everything looks good. Now I am a little bit worried about that one. I think I just prefer to delete that one. I don't like the way that one was looking. Okay, now I have my full template. It looks really good in my opinion, but I still need to remove the red layer, and now is the time to do it. So what I'm going to do is come over here and select the green layer. I'm going to hold my shift key and I'm going to select the red layer so that I have two layers selected. And in order to remove the red layer, I'm going to come back to the modify panel and I am going to select the option to subtract. Okay. When I do that, now the red layer is completely gone. Okay. Now let me zoom in because maybe you can see that there are boxes here. Let's look at that. Okay. Now, of course, I don't need any of those lines. So I can, click on those and I can delete those boxes because, I really don't need those. Let's move it over. Black layer. And let's zoom out. And I am just going to move that black layer for right now. I'm just going to move it down. And this stuff right here, like it looks like debris that's left over from the red. I just want to delete that. So I just double clicked on it. I'm just going to get rid of all of that. Now, there are other ways of taking care of this part, but I'm just trying to show you a quick way to do it. I'm going to select the green layer, and so a lot of those red pieces are a part of that green layer because that was where the red, it was connected to the green. Let's see. Okay, another way to deal with these pieces is to come over here and grab the eraser and just change the size of the eraser. It's like, to the smallest little piece you can, and you can just, erase erase that. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is put all those other layers back. So I'm going to put the black layer back in there, and I'm going to put the yellow layer back in there. That looks really good. Now, oh wait, I still see a little piece that I need to get rid of right there. Now I'm going to select the purple layer. I'm going to write down the number of rhinestones that I need, 376. And I'm going to right click, and I'm going to click on group, and I'm going to right click again, and I'm going to make it into a compound path. I'm going to click make compound path. When you click make compound path, the color goes away. But all I'm going to do is add that color right back in. I'm going to come to fill. I'm going to fill it in with purple. I'm going to remove that red outline by clicking here, going to this option of line, and then go to this, what looks like an empty bucket, and just remove those lines. I have to do that for each layer. So the next layer, I'm going to select the green layer. I'm going to right click. I'm going to choose make, I'm going to group it. Then I'm going to choose make compound path. The color will be gone. I'm going to click on the fill option, filling it back in with green, and I'm going to remove the red outline. Now, when I look right here, I still see some of this black layer, so I'm going to zoom in really quickly and remove that because I don't really want to keep that. Okay, like that, and I can click here. So I'm going to select the black layer, I'm going to right click, I'm going to group it. I'm going to right click again, make compound path. I'm going to fill it back in with black, and I'm going to remove that red outline. I'm going to select the yellow layer. I'm going to right click. I'm going to make compound path. I'm going to fill it back in with yellow, and I'm going to remove the red outline. Okay, now let's look at what we have. Okay, so this is our complete file. Now, I think it looks really, really nice. And when you're looking at yours, you're trying to make sure that none of your rhinestones are touching, and you're also making sure that there are no other places where you want to add rhinestones. However, let's just say you look at it and you think, I really wish I would have added rhinestones like right here. There's a quick and easy way to do it. This part is actually optional. So let me show you what you can do if you look at yours at the end and you've already, made your rhinestone layer a compound path. What you would do is click on your rhinestone layer, you would right click, and then you would choose the option to release compound path. Now I'm going to zoom in and show you what I would do if I wanted to add rhinestones like right here. I'm going to scoot over and I'm going to move down just a little bit. Now I definitely want to be careful about this because I don't want to move everything. I just want to move the places where I want to add rhinestones. I would select the Alt key on my keyboard. I would select the rhinestone, and then I would just drag one or two up where I want them to go. Just like that. Okay. So now I think that looks pretty good. Let's move this one down. That looks pretty good. I want to keep it like that. Now I would go back and select my rhinestone layer again, right click. I would select group. I would right click, make compound path. The color is going to go away. Come back, add that color right back in there, remove that red outline, and you are good to go. So now once I decrease the view, let's get a really good look at it. I can see that the size of my rhinestone template, I need to write that down. So let's select that purple layer. The size of my rhinestone template is 10.802 in width, and the height is 5.211. That's just the rhinestone template. But the size of the complete template, the whole thing, is 10.802 by 8.299. So now what I would do is I would click on File, Save Selection, Save to Hard Drive, and I would give this a name. I would call this Fall Vibes SS10 with Rhinestones. And the width is 10.802 by height of 8.299. And because I'm using the business edition, I can save this as an SVG. Now, I don't need it to say SVG here and SVG right here. So I can close that part out, and then I can click OK. Now I should be able to open this file inside of any other software that I have a cutting machine to match. Okay, so let's look at that. Let's open this in Cricut Design Space. Here's Cricut Design Space. I'm going to click Upload, Upload Image, Browse, go into my documents. I called it Fall Vibes right there. I'm going to open it up. There it is. I'm going to click Continue, going to click Upload. And if it doesn't come in at the right size, which it didn't, I'm going to change the width, and the height will adjust automatically. I'm changing the width to 10.802, and the height adjusted automatically to 8.299. If I were to look at my layers, I should have 4 layers. I have one layer. Let's ungroup it so we can look at it. Okay, I have one layer that's vibes. I have one layer that's fall. I have one layer that's rhinestones, and I have one layer that's the outline layer. And there I go. If you found this helpful, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to my channel, and turn on the bell for notifications, because I do upload new content every single week. Thank you so much for joining me today, and thanks for watching. Bye.